thank you for joining me today. I recently returned some things to a friend of mine and she asked me if I could bring her 4 chairs. 2 of them were in the garage and I think the others were in storage as well, so hence the tops not being very pretty. She's gone for an eclectic look. I'm using some fabric that we've already used on other projects for these, but I always think if you can use other items up, then you're not wasting your money. So I don't think there's much to say about these at the moment, so let's get on with it. The first thing I'm going to do is remove the seat from the chair frame, which is nice and easy. Having done that, I'm looking here and one of these is right out, so I'm going to switch this for putting things back together again, and I'm going to tighten the whole frame up. Then it's done and I just can't forget it. And also make sure you do along the back, sometimes that works itself loose too. Once all of that's done, yeah, it's nice and tight. I'm going to take that off and store it for now. The next thing is to remove the base cloth, the piping and the original cover. Ease the staples up and remove them. Now I have to center this, so I'm going to go outside edge to outside edge. I'm going to bring it up slightly so it's about even. That's 16, so half of 16 is 8 there. And again at the front, I'm going to pull that forward so it's 19. Looks about even. Half of 19 is 9.5. And then I'm going to just draw my line across. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to measure here. That's quarter under 18, which would be half of 18 is 9. There and about there too. Again, I'm just going to put my line across. Now these ones aren't quite so important. It's really just to give me some idea when I'm pulling it to the sides where I am. So I've decided to put this down the center as there's matching patterns here on round, and I'm also going to have that one in the middle. So that's over the top of the seat cushion, and I'll pull that into place so it looks even. I'm going to even that into place there and secure it. And I'm going to do the same on the other side. Now this has a dog bone pattern, which I'm going to use as my point of reference, and then I can use that pattern here, here, and the same on the front so it stays in place. And I'm also going to pull it forward here and only to there, so it's about 4 inches from the end. And on this side I'm going to do the same. There's the pattern I'm going to pull into the base of the board there. And then I can make sure that the whole thing is even as I go across. So these are the pieces across, and I can kind of eyeball where that is. It doesn't have to be exact there to there, but I do want the pattern to be matching. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop that over here. I'm going to put a staple here, and then I'm going to pull on the other side to make sure that that line is in exactly the same place. I'm going to come across and make sure that that part of the line matches, which is about there. I think that looks about even. Because this is the tighter side, I'm going to just pull this in and secure it in a few places and make sure it matches on the other side, like that. Then on this side, make sure that that part of the pattern is there and that part of the pattern is there, but that seems to be exactly where I need it, so that's not good. There. Even though you've lined up top and bottom, you sometimes need to push patterns around a little bit so that they really do match up. All I'm going to do now, I'm going to come on this side because this is the side that it was a bit shy on. I'm actually going to pull it to there. There's a pattern coming here, and make sure it matches on that side and take this out and just even it down. All I'm going to do is work it in. All it means is that it might go in a little bit tighter than I've already put it, that's all. That pattern matches, and then as I ease this in, as I go down, other bits will come in. So I think that part of the pattern will come in there, and then I'll make sure that it matches on this side like that. There we go, it will come in. I'll just straighten it up so it looks nice and smooth. So that comes out, and I'll just straighten the line down to the bottom. Now for the top corner, I'm going to start pulling it in and slightly that way. And then that will lose some of the fabric on the back here. put a couple of pleats in like that. Across the top here, I'm going to pull that down, but I'm going to put a small pleat. This is on the back of the chair, so it doesn't matter if it's not quite on the corner. Nobody's ever going to see it. I'm going to pull that in, down, pulling this into the corner here, or back, and I think that looks even. If I pull that down, it looks quite smooth there. Release that just a little bit. Cut that back, and I will repeat the pattern on the other side. The blue seats I put in, I didn't have to worry too much because there was nothing that I needed to make sure matched. Here again, pull it sort of down a little bit. It looks a little bit over, but you're not going to see both sides of the chair at the same time, so I'm not going to worry about that too much. This fabric has lines up and down, and I don't want the piping to follow those. I also don't have enough to do it at a proper 45-degree angle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it like this so that the fabric is quite even on both of those colours, and I'm going to cut down the fold like this until I get to the other end. This is what you can do if you don't have a nice big piece that you want to put on a bias. You can change the angle of the fold. I'm going to cut this at 2-inch intervals. Because it's being stapled into place, I want to have a little bit more of a flange on there. So I'm doing it this way. And I'll do as many as I need for 2 chairs. Now if you've cut your piping on a really acute angle, make it up the same way, but just make sure that you keep everything at right angles, which is a little bit difficult because your eye gets pushed to think that it's not where you think it is. And although I've taken it a bit narrower there, if I look here, it's at right angles. So I'm going to pop that under there and sew it just as I would do any other piping cover. As long as it looks even, you should be fine. And then cut it back to within 1/4 of an inch. I'm going to put the piping together. This one has a rubberized back to it, so it really doesn't like to be dragged across very well. I'm going to pop that there. This silicone that I'm using just sprays a fine line, which is really irritating. I prefer it if it sprays out, but anyway, that's all I have today. I'm going to put it on one of the smaller stitches, and I'm going to stitch across from one corner to the other. When I get there, I'm going to fold this over and put the next one down. I'll put the selvages up to the top. I always try to make my piping follow the same route. I usually do it that way because it's chenille or velvet, but I just find if I do it like that always, I don't get it wrong for those two. I harvested the piping that was on there originally. It is a spongy plastic. It will still work. Pop that in here towards the top like that. Fold it over, make sure the piping is in the fold of the fabric. Pull that down just a wee tad like that. Extend the stitch to the longest, fold the fabric over and sew. And I'm going to do that all the way down. Now the back has been squashed a little bit, but that's okay. It fills the space, that's all it's meant to do. I'm not quite at the join, but I'm going to snip it anyway, like that. And then cut the fabric back to within 1/4 of an inch of the sewn seam on both of those. The foam is a bit bigger than I usually use, but it'll be fine. It came off there, so it'll work perfectly. As I get closer to the seam, I'm going to open the seam out like that. Just press it, finger press it into place, pop that over the top and carry on going. I always double check that it is still open because you don't want it rucked up. On a thicker fabric it will really be a problem, on a thin one it won't be. I just like to make sure that it's where it should be. Then put the bottom cloth on once the piping's all in place and you're happy with it. I've already done that seat, this is the last one I'm doing, but I've put the equivalent of Old English furniture restorer on here. I used the light one, so it's a light golden colour compared to this really dried out, scratched look. It also seems to have lightened the wood slightly. I think it just removes some of the crud that's on there that's built up. And that's normal. I'm pleased with the way the frames have been turning out with the cleaning that I've been doing. I'm sure she's going to love this when she sees it. Just going to go along the top. There's a lot of dust on these, so I'm wiping the dust off at the same time. There's paint. Some of it might just scrape off with my nail. I'm just going to wipe these down at least twice. Where the wood shows through, it should colour slightly to a golden colour, which I think doesn't look too bad with this colour finish on the chairs. Once the oil is on there, I will then wipe it off before I put the seat cushion on. Thank you for joining me on this short video. I think my friend is going to be absolutely thrilled. She has this fabric on a sofa in her bedroom, and she has this in the playroom and a couple of other places, but the mix and match kind of draws all the fabrics together. I think she's going to be very pleased. I think the two chairs look really nice together. If you'd like to see more from me, please subscribe, hit the bell button, and a few thumbs up would be brilliant. And in the meantime, see you later. Take care. Ciao.